One of the ever popular memes of the day is that Donald Trump is a racist. In addition to being a unsworn agent of the KGB, apparently he had also been secretly a grand dragon of the KKK all these years, in spite of the fact that throughout all these investigations and the vast amount of money that would accrue to anybody who could come forward with a credible instance of Trump uttering a racial epithet or other proof that he was somehow a racist, none exists. But we know he's a racist. How?
You don't talk about President Trump very much.
No.
Why?
No. Because I think he's a symptom of a problem.
What do you mean?
The president certainly didn't invent racism, but he's certainly given a voice to it and expanded it and created a platform for those things.
Do you believe President Trump is a racist?
Yeah, no question.
How can you say that?
When you look at the words that he uses, which are historic dog whistles of white supremacy.
And when she says no question, she's shaking her head like, are you crazy to even ask that question? Of course this is the truth. Now, the funniest response I heard for this historic dog whistle comment comes from comedian Dave Smith, host of the Part of the Problem podcast, which I recommend. And he had this great observation, which was, historically, there was no need for a dog whistle for a racist to express their racist views. If you're a slave owner in the United States or you're arguing for Jim Crow, those people just made their points that blacks or minorities were less than others. They didn't have some complicated secret dog whistle way of communicating. So this idea that there's some dog whistle thing is just a way for them to demonstrate that there's racism without actually having to proving that there's racism. So if you say there's a dog whistle, there's no defense against that. You're giving out secret racist code language. Well, a fair thing would be to say, well, where's this list of all this secret racist code language so that I can maybe steer clear from it? Well, they can't produce that list because it's just anything that they think can possibly be successfully tarnished with the word racist attached to it, which is designed to shut down debate and shut down discussion and to use the language of the left to otherize the target of it. If you can brandish somebody successfully as a racist, of course, then you don't have to contend with any of their ideas. I thought there was an interesting exchange with Senator Lindsey Graham on, I think it was on CBS's Face the Nation, where he basically says that the negotiations for the government shutdown are being affected by this calls of Trump of being racist over it, and basically throws down the gauntlet that says, they're not going to put up with this kind of ongoing name calling.
I think we'll have offers on the table when we find somebody that's not crazy to deal with. We're not going to put any offers on the table as long as people in charge of these negotiations accuse all of us who want a wall of being a racist and see our Border Patrol agents as gassing children. Until you can get that crowd put to the sidelines, I don't see anything happening.
Graham was talking about how Dick Durbin was the guest previous to him on the program, and he said that, if you bring Dick Durbins to the table, basically we can get a deal done. But if you bring these other sorts who keep up with the name calling, then it's a lot harder to negotiate in good faith with them. And then later on in the program, the self-same program, that is Face the Nation, we have Democrat Representative Max Rose, another freshman member of Congress, in discussing the commonality of the kind of insurgent progressive campaigns of the recent congressional election, comparing them similarly to Donald Trump's insurgent presidential campaign. Well, he just couldn't offer up that comparison without an important caveat.
2016 and 2018 were not that different. It's just different political parties won. If you think about what Donald Trump ran on, okay, if you put some of the racist stuff aside for a moment, which is difficult, I know, but he spoke about infrastructure, he spoke about drug costs, he wanted to protect Medicare and Social Security, draining the swamp. We ran on many of those same things.
If you can put the racist stuff aside, never identifying with specificity, of course, what the racist stuff is. It's all nebulous, dog whistle talking that we can't really nail down on. But what we know is that to be a racist is to be perhaps the most disgusting of human beings that's ever existed, worse than a murderer perhaps, is to be a racist. Donald Trump is one, and the evidence thereof is so prevalent it never need be identified specifically, but people of right minds just know how he was racist in the campaign especially. Those allegations of racism against Trump said loud enough and long enough from multiple points of broadcast are surely to land home and affect a lot of people in terms of their view of the president. So I think Lindsey Graham's onto something for demanding a sort of, I don't know if civility is the right word, but at least not abject ad hominem name calling on behalf on the part of people who are expected to be your fair dealing partners in democracy, like we would hope our elected representatives would be. We will not be successful as a society going forward if we do so on the basis that gender and sexual identity and race or color should control one's political beliefs. And sadly, the legacy media are doing everything to sort of confirm those biases that are tribal and emotional and everything against the Enlightenment values that these people all profess to back. But yet when the rubber meets the road, that's not what they're doing. Here is Donna Edwards on Meet the Press. She's a black woman who is just recently out of Congress, ran unsuccessfully for the Senate in Maryland. But this is what she has to say about identity politics.
I don't think the era of identity politics is over because for a lot of women, for people of color who are the base of the Democratic Party, our identity is our politics.
They get such strength from those identity politics. That's the part that's left unsaid. If I can position myself as the pro-woman candidate and identity politics is in play, then all the women are going to vote for me because they identify as women and I'm the person who's advancing their interests. It is quite simply tribalism, and it would be rejected by these media outlets and these candidates too if it were presented in any other way. But because it benefits their attempts to gain and maintain political power, it's not criticized in that fashion. And in fact, any criticism of it is seen as simply evidence of racism itself. A perfect loop. Tocqueville said we get the government we deserve. Let's hope he's wrong. All right, thanks so much for joining us. This has been The Uprising, the podcast of LibertyNation.com. Please visit us at LibertyNation.com and also check out our YouTube channel. And please like, comment, and subscribe, and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. It'll really help us out. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.